Exception handling is the next topic. So this is new topic actually for the students who are having some knowledge also, like C knowledge also. In C also we don't have this topic, exception handling. So what is meant by exception handling? So first of all, before going to exception handling, okay, first we'll see what are the different types of exceptions in Python. Exceptions in Python. Exception, what is the definition of exception? Exception is nothing but simply it's a abnormal termination of the program. Okay, so if there is a problem, because of that problem, the program will be terminated abnormally. That is known as exception. So I'll write simple example so that you can understand what I'm talking about. So I'll write a small program. Okay, can anyone tell me what is the output of this program? Can anyone tell me what is the output of this program? Please guess some output for this program. 0, 10, 0. Can't divide by 0. A is equals to 0. Okay, I written three print statements, right? Okay, so according to the program, whatever I written, 3 print statements means definitely it is supposed to print some output in 3 lines in general. If you have 10 print statements, then 10 lines output will be there. Okay, so any guesses? 0, 0, 10, 0. Can't divide by 0, 10, 0. Okay, yeah, okay. So here the problem is here I am getting an exception. What is exception? 10 by 0. 10 by 0 means what? 10 by 0. In general, in mathematics, something by 0 is nothing but, you can call it as infinity in mathematics. But coming to computer science, something by 0 is nothing but, it is one of the exception. It is a 0 division error. We can call it as 0 division error. Because of that error, whatever lines I written, all the lines will not be printed here. Okay, if I written some 100 lines also, that will not be printed after this. Because of that error, because of that exception, the things are not going to be printed after that. We'll see same here. Okay, so nothing is printed. If we observe here, nothing is printed. Why? Actually, there is no problem after this line, after third line. After this line, there is no problem. Okay, we are simply printing AB values only. But because of this line, the program is terminating abnormally. That condition we can call it as exception. If the program is terminating abnormally, That is the definition for exception. Okay, program termination. Okay, because of some abnormal condition. So that's why, because of this single line, there is some exception occurred here. Because of that single line, the remaining lines are also not going to be executed. Already you know this is a interpreter. Python is a interpreter, right? Interpreted language. So it will be executed line by line. In general, it will be executed line by line. So that's why, because of this line error, okay, the remaining lines will not be printed. So that is what we can call it as exception. Okay, so what is the exception occurred here? Zero division error, division by zero. That is nothing but an exception. Zero division error, a division by zero. Okay, that number I am trying to divide with zero. I hope you understood, right, what I'm talking. Is it clear what is the meaning of definition of exception? What is meant by exception? Is it clear to all? Okay. So like this, we are having different exceptions in Python. Okay, I'll try to demonstrate. What is I especially? I didn't get you, Nagadipti. Anything you are asking? Or, okay. Okay, right. So, yeah, we'll see some more exceptions from the ideally shell itself. I'll show you some more exceptions. For example, A is equals to some hello. This is a string. Okay, I'm trying to convert this into integer. Okay, so this is one more exception. What is this exception? Value error. So this is nothing but a conversion error. We are not supposed to convert a string into integer format, or a string into float format, or a string into complex format. Okay, this is not possible. So that's why this is also one of the exceptions. That is what we can call it as value error. Okay, so one is division error, and one more is value error. Zero division error. Zero division error is nothing but the error when we are trying to divide a number with a zero. Okay, and one more is value error. Value error is nothing but when you are trying to convert a string into some other format like integer. Next, similar to this, we'll have some other exceptions. Similar to this, we'll have some other exceptions. For example, I want to print something which is not available. I want to print X. X is not there in this context. Actually, X is not there in this context. But I'm trying to print something. I'm trying to use this X. But X is not there, not available here. So then we got an exception. That is nothing but name error. Okay. So this is also one of the exception. That is name error. Okay. So like this, we are having different types of exceptions. Already we worked on some files, right? In file operations, we used open operation. Open of. I'm trying to open some file. Okay. So it is not available actually. Assume it is not. It's not available in my current working directory, but I'm trying to open it. So this is also one of the exception. File not found. Okay. If you observe here, we got an exception. File not found. Okay. So I'm trying to open some file in read mode. This is not available, or this is not existing. So I got an exception called file not found error. File not found error. So these are the different types of exceptions. Okay, zero division error, value error, name error. Okay, file not found error. Okay, so these are the different types of exceptions we are going to find in our Python programs. Okay, but our topic is not exception. Our topic is exception handling. What is exception handling? What is meant by exception handling? Exception handling means very simple. In layman terms, exception handling is nothing but you did some mistake. You did some mistake. Okay. As a human being, it is common. It's common for everyone doing some mistakes. Then immediately what we'll do? we'll try to cover that mistake, or we will try to handle that mistake. Okay, that is nothing but a exception handling. Exception means some problem, some error is happened, but how we are trying to handle, how we are trying to manage, how we are going to cover, that is nothing but a exception handling. Okay, so how we are going to cover? So we are going to use some techniques. In Python, we are going to use some techniques to handle exception. Okay, so in the previous program, just what we seen, we are getting an exception because of one line. Because of that line, what will happen is almost all the remaining lines will not be executed. For example, assume a program which is having nearly 1000 lines. So in line number 10, you are getting exception. In line number 10, you are getting exception. Because of line number 10 exception, remaining 990 lines will not be executed. Remaining 990 lines will not be executed because of some exception that is happened in line number 10. So that is one of the drawback of exceptions. So we can't execute the remaining lines followed by the line where we are getting an exception. So how we are going to handle? We are going to handle by using different types of keywords like try, catch, okay? So try, except, else, finally. So these are the exception handling methods in Python. You can handle any exception by using this try, okay, except, else, finally. So these are the things where we can handle exception. And one more common exception, already you people know. Okay, already we seen this exception also in our examples. In so many examples, we seen this exception. That is one of the common exception is indentation. Indentation, already I told you, whenever we are writing some loop, if I am not writing, for example, for I in range of 10, okay, so immediately I am not giving any indentation. Directly I am starting from beginning. Then we are going to get an error. Okay, so this is nothing but indentation. Okay, expected and indented block. So that is also nothing but syntax error, or we can say indentation. So this is also one of the exception, or we can say one of the error, right? So here what we are doing, we are not following the Python indentation. So these are the different types of exceptions. But how can we handle? How can we cover? How can we manage? So that is nothing but the concept of exception handling. Exceptions will occur in a program. It is a normal. Okay, it's a normal thing only. Okay, occurring exception is a normal thing. Okay, doing some mistakes in our life is a normal thing. But how we are going to handle? How we are going to cover those mistakes? How we are going to handle our mistakes? That is nothing but the life is all about. Okay, so you are writing some big program, some 1000 lines of program. Getting some errors is a normal thing. It's a usual thing only. But the thing is how we are going to cover, how we are going to manage that errors. That is the problem. Okay, so that is what we can call it as exception handling. I hope all of you understood, right? The definition of exception and exception handling. Please respond in the chat box. All of you getting or not? Please respond in the chat box whether you are getting or not the concept of exception and exception handling. Okay, right. So we'll see some programs. Very simple, very simple. Exception means you are trying to okay cover your error. You did some mistake. Simple example. You are absent for the college from last 1 week. You're absent for the college from the last 1 week. Then immediately your HOD will ask you, why are you absent from last 1 week? Then immediately you are going to cover the mistake, whatever you did. The mistake is you are absent for the last 1 week. You didn't inform it to anyone. You didn't inform it to your class teacher. You didn't inform it to your mentor or your counselor. Then what you will do? You will be ready with your answers, right? That is nothing but handling. That is nothing but covering. And that is nothing but handling the problem. Pawan Kumar, please mute. Okay, understood? Okay, so now we'll see some examples. How we can handle this? We can handle this by using different types of keywords like try, except, else. Okay. First of all, what is meant by try? Try is nothing but it is the keyword used to find. Okay, if there is any exception, it's going to find out. Okay, if there is any exception occurred, it's going to find out if there is any exception occurred. It will finds. Okay, so if the exception is occurred, then how we are going to manage? How we are going to manage it? How we are going to handle it? So that can be done by using try. Try is nothing but simply you can write the code where you are expecting exception. It's very simple. In try, what you are supposed to write? In try block, you are supposed to write the program or the statements where you are expecting some wrong. Okay, where you are expecting something wrong. Okay, you are expecting okay, something wrong will be there in your program. Okay, you know where something will happen, where is the problem might occur. That problem, that program, that part of the program will you are supposed to keep it in try block. Okay, I'll show you some example how the exception can be resolved by using try block. First, I'll write the normal program. Then we'll write same thing. For example, A is equals to, just I'm taking some numbers here. Input of, enter any number. Enter A. Okay, enter A. And B is equals to input of enter B. So now I got C is equals to A by B. So print of result is C. Okay, so now tell me, in general, what this program will do? It is going to perform the division. If I given normal values for A and B, then I will get the correct answer only. If I given 0 for the denominator, then only I'll get the wrong answer. Let me give normal values 10 and 5. The answer is 2.0. This is fine. Okay, and now I'll give some other value for the denominator, means for B, I'll give some other 0 value. Enter A 10, B value 0. Now this is the error, 0 division error. Okay, so same program, we'll try to handle it by using exception. Even though you are getting an exception, means you are giving B value 0 also, we are not supposed to get any error. That is our objective. Even though you are given wrong input means you are given 0 for B also, you are not supposed to get this red colored error. This red colored error is nothing but exception. You are not supposed to get this red colored error. If you are getting red colored error means, then your program is in a big trouble. Okay, always you are supposed to get only this inputs and outputs. Like you can get only this black colors only, inputs and as well as some blue color. Okay, this blue color and black color statement should be there in our output. Okay, if you are getting some red color statement means that is nothing but it's a blunder mistake in your program. That is what we can call it as exception. Okay, how can we handle? We'll see. Just I write the same program. We'll try to handle it with exception handling. Same program. Let me copy the same program and I'll try to handle the through exception handling. So this is what I can call it as exception handling. So I'm expecting some problem here. So that's why I'm keeping all these things in the try block. I'm keeping all these things in the try block. Okay, where I'm expecting some problem. Okay, I'm expecting some problem here. So, for example, if there is no problem, simply what I'll do is I can use except block. Except. What is this block? I'll tell you. What is this except block? What is this try block? I'll explain. So this is the program. Even though you got an exception, you won't get any error here. Okay, the exception cannot be displayed. Why? The reason is how this program will work. First, to see how this program will work. If I give a normal A value, normal B value, then result will be displayed. If I given some other value, means if I given B value 0, then we are going to get something, but that is not an exception. Still we got some statement. The statement is okay. So here otherwise in except block you can write don't give 0 for denominator. This statement I want to display if there is any exception. If there is no exception, then simply I'll get okay. So C value. Let me give some let me give some 0 value for B, and you can see what will happen. A value I am giving 10, B value I am giving 0. Okay. Even though I given B value as 0, for the same program, if I given B value 0, then what I got here, I got an exception. This is red colored error. We got error in the previous case. Just okay, in this program, just I use the try and except. Okay, so that I am handling, even though there is something wrong in my program, I am not getting any error. Means I am not getting any this red colored statement. That is what exception handling. Okay, I'll show you this program. So we are reading inputs A and B values, and I'm trying to perform C value. Okay, I'm computing C value. If there is any wrong in this, already I told you, try is nothing but a block where you are supposed to write all the statements where you are expecting some problem. Okay, I am expecting some problem in this line. Why? If I given 0, then there is a problem here. So the problem I am expecting in this line. So that's why this entire statements, all these entire statements I am keeping in try block. Okay, and next, if there is any issue here, then immediately I am going to execute this except block. If there is no issue, then automatically let me write some line here. Print result is C. So if I give a normal value, values for A and B, enter A value 10, B value 5, result is 2.0. Okay, why result is 2.0? There is no exception occurred actually. There is no exception occurred. If there is no exception occurred, then obviously result will be printed. If there is any exception occurred, then automatically, okay, so it will goes to except block and it will print whatever we are written in the except block. I think it is clear to all, right? Is it clear? Ultimate target is you are supposed to manage your error in such a way that the red colored error shouldn't be there. That is our objective. All of you are getting or not? Please respond, remaining students. Because always you are in a position to handle any type of error also. In software industry, what will happen is you are writing some program. Okay. Maybe according to you, the program is 200% correct. Okay. You may felt like there is no error in my program because I'm writing program in such a way that there are no errors and no one is going to find any error in my program. That is only one side. What about other side? Other side, there is a technical team. We can call it as testing team or quality team. They are going to test your uh, application, whatever the logic you are written, whatever the program you are written. Okay, so they definitely their aim is, what is their objective? Their objective is they are going to throw some error on you. That is their objective. When we 10-0, what will be the result? When you are given 10 and 0, the result is, okay, the result is the line except line. What we are written in except black. We are written this line, don't give 0 for a denominator. That will be the answer. Okay, this is the output. When I given 10 and 0, don't give 0 for a denominator. This is the output. So because there is an exception occurred in the try block, so that's why it is going to execute the statements in the except block. Is it clear, Sai Sharanya? Okay. Any doubts, ma, in this example? Correct. So now we'll see some more examples. Okay. What is meant by else block? What is meant by else block? I told you something like we are having different types of uh, statements. We are having different types of statements. One is try block, except block. What this except is doing? If the exception occurred, in try block, then the exception occurred in try block, then except block will be is executed. Okay, that is what we seen here. Okay, because here some exception is occurred, so that's why we are executing this try block. Okay, because exception is occurred here 10/0, we are executing this except block. In except block only we written this, right? In except block only we are written this. Okay, don't give 0 for denominator. In except block only we are written this, right? Okay. And what about else? Okay, I told you one more statement is else and other keyword is finally. So what this else and what is finally will do? Else is nothing but it's going to print if there is no exception, then what will done? Finally is nothing but if there is exception occurred or not, then definitely it will be executed. Finally means irrespective of whether exception is occurred or not. If the exception occurred, finally will be printed. If the exception not occurred, then also finally will be printed. We'll see what is else and what is finally. I'll give an example for else. Okay, so just I'm reading two numbers. Except I'm writing some condition. Okay, else. So here I'm going to write else. So else I'm going to print something. Okay, I'm giving A value 10, B value 0. Okay. Don't give 0 for a denominator. Why? Because there is an exception occurred in the try block. Because I given 0 value for the denominator, so that's why it's not printing this statement, result statement. Result is C. It's not printed. Why? Because it is printing this statement in except block. The reason is exception is occurred here because I given b value 0. But if exception is not occurred, if I given normal values, a value I given as a 10, b value I given as 5. Okay, so now if you observe here, result will be printed. Okay, result is 10 by 5 2.0, and because there is no exception occurred, this except block will not be executed. Okay, instead of except block, else block will be executed. This else is only for except, it's not for try. Okay, so either except will be executed or else will be executed. So if there is an exception, this except block will be executed. If there is no exception, then else block will be executed. Is it clear? Is it clear? What is the purpose of else? Understood, no? All of you understood or not? Okay. So here, yeah, let me execute this program so that you can understand. So here, this is a similar program what we see in by using try and catch. Here I am taking two inputs A and B, and I am trying to perform division operation A by B. Okay, and I am printing a result. When this result will be printed in general? In general, the result will be printed if A and B values are normal numbers. Means B value shouldn't be 0. B value is not supposed to be 0. If B value is 0, then what will happen? Here exception will be occurred. Exception is occurred means immediately it will go to except block. This statement will be printed. Don't give 0 for a denominator. For example, if you are given B value other than 0, then C value will be printed. Result will be printed. And after printing this result, then result printing means there is no exception. There is no exception means it will goes to else block. This is also going to be printed. Okay, so I'll give some inputs. So enter A value. I am giving some 10, B value 5. So result is 2.0 and hello. Result is printing. Why? Because B value is not 0. And except is not executed. Why? Because there is no exception occurred. Because B value I given other than 0. So that's why no exception. No exception means simply it will goes to else block. Hello will be printed. Understood? Bhavya, understood or not, Bhavya? Remaining students, ma, I think only the else, this else is with respect to except. So here, what is the point? The point is very simple here. If there is no exception, this entire this block will be executed. If there is no exception, all the statements will be printed here. Okay, no exception means it doesn't go to this except block. When it will goes to except block, if there is an exception, then only it will goes to except block. Okay, if it is going to accept block means there is an exception. If it is not going to accept block means no exception. No exception means what will be executed? Else block will be executed. Is it clear? Remaining students, is it clear or not? Okay, so now I am going to add one more statement for this program. Okay, that is nothing but finally. Okay, so here I write some explanation also. Else means if the exception occurred, else block else block statements will not be executed. If no exception, then else block statements okay, I think it is clear, right, regarding except block, else block. Finally, what is finally? Irrespective of whether exception occurred or not, the finally block will be executed always. Okay, so these are the explanations for each and every block. What is try block? What is except block? What is else block? What is finally block? Okay. Now I'll add one statement for here. Finally, I'll add. Finally, I want to write print. Print. I am finally. I will execute always. Okay. So now we'll see how this finally will works. Okay. So now, yeah. Enter A. I am giving 10. B value 5. So this is normal case. There is no exception. There is no exception. So if there is no exception, simply what will happen is the value will be printed. Result is 2.0 and hello will be executed. Why? Because there is no exception. There is no exception means obviously else block will be executed. And okay, here there is no exception. Okay, finally will be executed. Now we'll see. For exception case. Enter A, I am giving 10. Enter B, I am giving 0. Okay. So now if you observe here, because there is an exception occurred, the result will not be printed. Result will not be printed because there is an exception occurred. Because exception occurred, except block will be executed. What is there in except block? Don't give 0 for a denominator. So that is what except block will be executed. And I told you, irrespective of whether exception is occurred or not. If exception is occurred also finally will be executed. If exception not occurred also finally will be executed. If you observe here, in this first example, first case, actually there is no exception. We got result 2.0. Here also finally will be executed, the finally block. Here we got exception, B value 0. Again, finally will be executed. So that's why finally will be executed irrespective of there is an exception occurred or not. Understood? Please respond in the chat box, understood or not. What is meant by try block? What is meant by finally block? What is meant by else? Madhavi Reddy, you want anything? What is meant by try block? What is meant by else block? What is meant by except block? What is meant by finally block? These are very, very important for interviews also. Okay, what is meant by? Yeah, okay. So here, try block is nothing but the block where you are supposed to put all your code where you are expecting some issue. Okay, we are expecting some issue. So that entire code, that entire statements, all that statements, you are supposed to keep it in try block. What about except block? Except block is going to be executed if there is any issue in the try block. If there is any issue, if there is an exception occurred, then only this block will be executed. That is about except block. What about else block? Else block is if there is no exception, then only this else block will be executed. If there is no exception. What about finally block? Finally block will be executed. If there is any exception occurred also finally will be executed. If there is no exception also finally will be executed. So there is no relation to the exception and finally block. Exception occurred or not occurred, it doesn't matter. It will be executed. Finally will be executed always. Understood? Understood, ma? Now is it clear? Remaining students, is it clear or not? Please respond. Is it clear? Still any doubts? Okay, so if you want, you can write the exception names also. If you want, you can write exception names also. If you know the exception name means I showed you some exceptions in the IDLE shell. Do we have only 3 keywords? Yes, yes. These are the 4 keywords, right? Try, except, else, finally. These are the 4 keywords only for handling exceptions. Yes. Okay. Now, okay. So sometimes what will happen is you can write exception name also. For example, if you know exception name, you can write. I'll give an example. Okay. Exception name also you can execute the same. For example, I want to open some file. FP is equals to open of some file. Actually, this is not there in my folder. It is not there. I'm trying to open it. Okay. So then I can write I can keep this in try block. Keep this in try block because there is an error occurred. Because the file is not available, I am trying to open it. So definitely I'll get an exception here. Okay. So how I am going to handle it? I can handle it by using except block. Except block. Okay. So here, instead of writing simply except, you can write the error also. What is the error? IO error. IO error. Okay. IO error. Okay. So here you want whatever you want to write. Print of what you want to write. File not found. File not available or not found. Available or file not found. Okay. Else means if the exception is not occurred, print file opened successfully. Okay, so else if the file is already available, then simply you can write file open successfully, and simply you can close the file. Right. So this is the program. Actually, this is not there in my folder, in my current working directory. This is not there. Just I'm given some random name that is not there actually. So now, so I got a exception. The exception is okay. So instead of except, simply I written an exception name also. So if the exception is occurred, what is the exception here? The exception is IO error. IO error. If you observe here, already I did this written here. Okay, so these are the different types of exceptions. IO error means input output error. Input output error. If the file is not there, then we are going to get input output error. So these are the different types of exceptions. And if you want, you can write some other exception names you can use. For example, we are using the exception like I'll give. How can you print the exceptions? Arithmetic exception. Okay. Exception 2. So just I am going to write try block and I can take some x value is equals to 100. Okay, and y value is equals to some 0. And simply z value is equals to x by y. Okay. So now I'm going to write except. So here I'm going to write two errors. What are the errors? Arithmetic error. Arithmetic, M-E-D-I-C, arithmetic error. Okay, and you are going to write one more error, that is IO error. So which error is occurring, only that will be printed. Except I am writing two errors. So which error is occurring in the try block, so that will be printed. Print of, if any error is occurring, then it will print arithmetic error. Arithmetical error occurred. Else means if there is no error occurred, then simply okay print no error. So this is other way. So what we are doing here, instead of writing simply except, we are writing some errors. So if there is some exception occurred in this try block, so that this will be executed. This block will be executed. It may print. Okay, if arithmetical error is occurred, or if IO error is occurred, any type of error is occurred, this will be printed. So there are different ways, but the first way is very simple way, because you may not remember all these names, arithmetic error, which one is small, which one is capital. In general, okay, all the errors will be in camel notation. Camel notation means each and every word is having starting with a capital letter. Then arithmetical error, A is capital, E is capital. In IO error, both IO is nothing but capital and E is capital. So like that. You don't need to remember all these things. Simply you can write normal except, that is fine. So now if I execute this, then I'll get arithmetical error occurred. Why? Because already z is equals to x by y 100 by 0. So that is an exception. So that's why it is accepting arithmetical error. So that's why it is printing this line. I hope all of you understood, right? Any doubts? Any doubts, ma? Any doubts? Okay. So this is also very important concept. You should know, whenever you are writing any program, you are in a position to know where your program might go wrong. And how can you avoid it? How can you manage it? How can you handle it? So that is also important. Okay, writing a good program is not possible always, depending on the type of the application, depending on the programming language. Sometimes we may get some errors, we may get some unknown errors. Okay, we don't expect that errors. So the only thing is, if that is the case, we should know in which part of the program the error may occur. Simply you keep that entire program, that entire part of the program in try block. Okay, and you try to use the except block, so that if there is any error occurred in that entire try block, obviously that except block will be executed. Whatever you want to print in except block, you can print it. So that is what the objective of this exception handling. Any doubts? Any doubts, ma? So if you have any doubts, please let me know. I hope all of you understand, right? Okay, so I'll stop here if you don't have any doubts. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the chat box. Okay, and tomorrow onwards I'll start GUI programming. That is actually the last topic in core Python. Once the GUI programming, maybe I'll do 1 or 2 classes. Okay, once the GUI programming is over, I may go with some sample projects. Okay, so mostly we'll try to complete it by this Saturday, core Python. Okay, if not possible by this Saturday, maybe Monday or Tuesday. Okay, mostly I'll try to complete it by this Saturday, core Python. Okay, so by this Saturday, I'll try to explain one project also, and you are supposed to do uh, some projects. Okay, I'll give some ideas. You are supposed to implement by your own. I'll give some real time projects. Okay, I'll explain 1 or 2 projects. Maybe after completion of GUI part, I'll explain some projects, and you are supposed to do it. You try by your own. If you get it, no problem. If you don't get it, then I'll help you. But the project work is okay, fully you are supposed to do. If you want, I'll give some inputs only. Okay, because I'll explain 1 or 2 projects in the class also. If you follow that logic, then you can do any project. But already I told you in the beginning also, if you want to do full-fledged projects in Python, the core Python knowledge is not sufficient. Because in core Python, actually, you don't get this database part, won't get this object-oriented programming part, and you will get you won't get some other topics. Okay, you can, even though you don't get all these things, you can do some simple projects with the core knowledge, with core Python knowledge also. You'll do some simple projects. So that we'll see this week. Okay, so I'll stop here. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the chat box.